Hi, I'm Doug Belshaw. This is Models of Learning. 30-second introduction. Who am I? I'm Doug Belshaw. I wear many hats. I'm currently wearing one that says JISC Infonet on it. I'm also a husband, a father, and a sniper on Battlefield Bad Company 2. I used to be Director of E-Learning, and before that I taught history for 6 years. What do I do? I'm a researcher analyst. I research, I write reports, I attend conferences, and I make presentations. I also spend a lot of time on Twitter. When? This is the question I'm asked most about finishing my Ed.D., which I've been doing ever since I finished my PGC. I'm doing it on the concept of digital literacies, and I considered doing this presentation about that, but I'm just too engrossed in it, and I'm going to finish it by Easter 2011. Where am I? I'm up in Northumberland, near where I grew up, 15 miles north of Newcastle. I spent 7 years in Doncaster, and I currently work in Newcastle. Why do I do what I do? Well, for two reasons, really. Firstly, I had my eyes open to how wonderful learning could be at university, where I studied philosophy, and I realised how bad my own high school education had been. And secondly, I want to make the world a better place, education-wise, for my children. One's about to turn 4, and the other one's about to be born. So I currently work in further and higher education, so why on earth am I doing a presentation to a TeachMeet? Well, first of all, I think they're wonderful, and secondly, there's loads of stuff that I wish I knew when I was working in primary and secondary. It's all about competing narratives, and you don't always have to believe the narrative that's being kind of forced down your throat by the government and by the particular school that you work in. So there's two models I want to have a look at just with you quickly. First of all, there's Puentedura SAMR model, and props to Nick Dennis for showing me that. And secondly, there's Boyer's model of scholarship, which I've only come across recently, but I think that's almost as good as Puentedura's SAMR model. So first of all, let's have a look at Puentedura's SAMR model. I think this is a really, really nice tool to use to try and understand how to use educational technology in the classroom. So basically there's 4 levels. The first one is substitution at the bottom, then it goes augmentation, modification and redefinition. Now the idea about substitution is that basically all you're doing is replacing one thing with another. So instead of writing on the board, you're using PowerPoint. Then it moves up to augmentation, where the technology is some type of tool substitute, but you've got some type of functional improvement. So, for example, a child comes up and writes on the board, and instead they're writing on a smart board, and you can save that and you can put it online. That's a functional improvement. So they're enhancement things. You can see they're below the dotted line. But then the two above the dotted line are things to do with transformation. So modification. Tech allows for significant task redesign. So that might be something like, for example, using an iPod Touch in the classroom or a netbook. You can do different things than you could do previously because you've got something like a camera available to you. And then the last thing is redefinition. The technology allows for a creation of new tasks which were previously inconceivable. Now, usually I think this is to do with a confluence of technologies. So you've got a blanket wireless network, and every student has got some type of mobile device. That means you can completely redefine what it means to be in lessons, to do work across the curriculum, etc. There's lots of different examples of redefinition. But I like that model because what it means is you can see where your educational technology integration stands at the moment, and you can see how to move it up that kind of SAMR model. So it's not really about shiny toys. Sometimes I think that what we should do is every educator who bids for money or wants to roll out iPads or iPod Touches, we should just buy those educators one of them to play about with. First of all, because they might find something useful to do, but second of all, they might stop them just bidding for things to be able to play about with them, because I think sometimes they just literally use them as a substitution method. If you're interested in this SAMR model, then have a look at Ed Journal, which is a new journal which is coming out by educators for educators, and it uses this Puentedura's SAMR model at the core to say, where's the learning? Secondly, then, there's Boyer's model of scholarship. Now, while Puentedura's SAMR model is hierarchical, i.e. the ones at the top are better than the ones at the bottom, that's not the case with this Boyer's model of scholarship. So I can remember being a teacher and being crazily busy compared to seemingly everybody else, people who weren't teachers. And I remember starting at JISC Infonet and feeling so guilty for not taking my work home with me. I think there's a real need, even when you're so busy, to carve out a niche for reflection, getting up earlier, setting aside time at the weekend, even during the day, having a definite time for reflection and research and things like that. One of the best ways is to do that through writing, but you have to know what you're up to, and sometimes you have to justify it for CPD. So it's not just about practice. no matter what Mr. Gove thinks, it's about pedagogy as well. So let's have a look at these 4 elements in Boyer's scholarship model. First of all, there's discovery. Now, these are aimed at higher education, which is why you don't see these things being bandied around a lot in schools. But you've got 4 elements here. You've got discovery, integration, application, and teaching. Now, obviously, teachers teach, but that needs to be based upon classroom research as well, some type of action research where you're not only teaching, but you're finding out what works best, and you're differentiating, and you're kind of finding out and sharing things with other people. Application, again, we're not going up here. This is not teaching me at the bottom at all. But application is when you might be some type of, it says on here, external consultant or assuming a leadership role or advising student teachers or leaders. But you can do this through blogging and through influencing a wider community, by being on Twitter, by talking in the staff room, but applying what you're doing and addressing problems, identifying a problem, not just whinging about it, but trying to find a solution. People who whinge are the people who are really, underneath it all, happy with the way things are. Next thing is integration. So this is not just using the knowledge within your own discipline. So for example, I used to teach history, not just using the skills and the knowledge that I had in history, but using them across different disciplines, seeing where there might be places where there might be convergence or links or parallels, and collaborating with colleagues to design some type of cross-disciplinary course. And there's lots and lots of examples for that, not just on cross-curricular days. And then finally, discovery, building new knowledge through traditional research. So really what you want to be doing is, your ultimate aim is for yourself and for students to be contributing original things. That's obviously quite difficult for 7, 8, 9, even 16, 17, 18-year-old students to do. But that can be the aim. You could aim to, for example, augment Wikipedia or the simple English version of Wikipedia. So you're discovering new things and you're adding it to the body of the world's knowledge for other people to find out. And I think having something like that Boyer's model of scholarship in mind is really useful to a teacher. In fact, if I was still in the classroom, I'd have it pinned on my wall or on my desk or something like that, to realise that what we're not just standing up in front of students and transmitting knowledge here. What we're doing is we're actually working alongside them, and we're teaching and we're applying and we're integrating and we're discovering. So I hope those 2 models resonate with you. My blog is at dougbelshaw.com/blog. It's called Cynicism. You can see why it's called Cynicism when you get there. It's a philosophical thing. And what I'll do is I'll post Boyer's model of scholarship and Puentedura SAMR model as a blog post with TeachMeet Oxfordshire as the title. And you can have a look at them, and I'll link to some useful things related to that. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the nibbles and presumably the alcohol and the wonderful surroundings, and I'll let Matt finish off. Thank you very much.